We were in New Mexico, in Albuquerque,
Albuquerque,
and also
Clovis.
in Clovis, which is just, over across the border.
So was the idea that Archer City was somehow what inspired him to write it
I'm
this
not
way?
sure. You'd have to ask
He was there. He was
Taylor,
wandering
but
around there.
when we did the sequel to the Last Picture Show, called Texasville, we shot it 20 years later, and the town looked exactly like it looked when we shot the Last Picture Show, except there was a big black glass bank, like it just came out of a
Monolith.
yeah, just sitting there in the middle of this old funky town. So
But
maybe,
you guys were, what he talked about, the writer talked about the idea that you were somehow exploring the way men communicate with each other or don't communicate with each other. It's like you've got parallel bromances going on. And the two of you were playing brothers who, it's like the script was layered in such a way that it wasn't all obvious. It wasn't all cliched. That's one of the reasons why it's such a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that must have been fun for you guys to read a script that was not the same as every other script you've read. Talk about that a little bit from the beginning.
Yeah, well, for me it was very clear. I'd never read a script that I knew I wanted to do immediately. I like to waver and kind of, dance around something. This one I just wanted to do immediately, and met Taylor and told him I wanted to do it, and he said he was thinking about Ben for the part of Tanner. I was like, well, that's fantastic. We just worked together. I love him to death. And it just happened very quickly. And to speak to what precisely it was, there is a poetry to the piece. There's a cowboy poetry to the piece, and I guess by that I mean it's men usually talking around things in such a way that you know that they love one another but are incapable of saying it. And it spoke to a kind of a generational violence, generational trauma that. And eloquently so, and with a lot of humor, and it was like 98.9 pages. It was just a beautifully raw, right on the nose, in and out. Did its job. I'm gonna stop talking, Ben.
Yeah, I'm
Jeff,
happy to
anything?
say.
I would just, the authenticity,
Yeah.
It seemed like this writer knows what he's talking about. It turns out that was true. I'm playing a Texas Ranger, and Taylor Sheridan's cousin is a fellow by the name of Parnell McNamara, who's a marshal, and so I got to talk to him, and Taylor, of course, his cousin was part of the source material for the script. And then I love the ambiguity about it, this right and wrong is not so black and white.
The villain is the bank. They
Yeah.
could have made you the villain. They
Yeah.
could have made you guys the bad guys, but
Yeah.
it didn't. You're rooting for everybody.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Because, and you always talk about it, in these times, a lot of people will do their talks, they say, yeah, it's a good movie for these times, And I say, yeah, but isn't it always these times? It seems like we are such a selfish species. That's how we roll, man.
Yeah.
We want what's either for us personally or our family or our party. And what comes to popping in my mind now is what's going on in Standing Rock. You've got these Native Americans who, gosh, they. You think this selfishness, they're trying to save the land, That's like a little bit bigger than just themselves or, our tribe. It's what we're doing to our planet, our land. This idea, well, what are we going to do now on our planet? Well, it's in our hands. Well, how are we going to handle this aspect of ourselves?
Well, it feels like the characters are acting out in all sorts of different ways. That they've lost the ability to function within the boxes that society has applied to them. That they're forced to go outside it. Your character especially loves to really rock and roll. He's enjoying the aspect of blowing it up.
Sure. Well, he was also incarcerated for a long time, and our prison system doesn't exactly have an exemplary track record of rehabilitating those that have maybe not had an extra hand in the game to begin with. So upon release, sure, Tanner pretty much says it. I'd never met anybody who got away with nothing. So with that in mind, what Tanner's doing is out of love in the way that he knows how to do it, and he's going to enjoy it because it ain't going to end well.
So talk about the long takes. You know, that have you worked with a director who did it that way as much as this guy, as much as Mackenzie? Yeah. He really went for it.
I don't really remember the long takes as much as just kind of a free. The really defining feature for me, for David, is, I think oftentimes as actors and really anybody involved, you come to the set with what you should do. Oh, this scene should look this way. I know that this is what it should be. Well, then you get to set and it's usually not what it should be. It's just going to be whatever the hell it's going to be. And he was super open to that experience. A line would change. That line would affect something else, and there wasn't anxiety. There was a joy in the free jazz of it, which I really, really. The structure of it is so good. The film is structured beautifully. He trusted that, and then once you trust the structure, you can get into the chaos, and the chaos is where all the fun stuff happens. And David is that kind of painter, and that's. Whether they were long takes or not, quite honestly, it was such an intimate atmosphere. It would be action and cut. I wouldn't even. It's the only experience I've ever had where it just kind of flowed in and out between action and cut. I didn't even really think about it.
And one of the upsides of digital
Yeah,
is that you can just do a bunch of takes on one slate without this,
Camera reload.
without this reset, and then you're losing the little things that you've discovered. But if you go right away. And you have the sense that nothing's too precious,
Yeah.
So what was the location like in terms of sort of informing your world and what you were creating? How did that help you?
Part of it, I think, having such fresh eyes, David not being in America and having such fresh eyes and wanting to portray America in a very accurate way, that really help as far as finding locations, and he was really into that. Beautiful photography, and so that has something to say with what about that opening shot? Isn't that a gorgeous
that's
shot?
wall
I love
shots
that.
are. Yes.
Yeah.
That
That's
first
what you
bank
mean.
robbery. Right?
Just that long, no cut. That really brings you into it. So,
Yeah. No, I mean, let's put it another way. This is a movie that is the biggest grossing independent movie
Isn't
of
that
2016.
great? I just heard that.
You beat The Witch.
The Witch? What's The Witch?
The Witch is a really cool horror movie, period horror movie.
Oh, that came in second?
From
I gotta see
Sundance,
that.
yeah.
That's good. Okay.
But basically, you guys know this. You guys have all been involved in movies that didn't turn out quite as well as you would have liked.
What are you saying?
On every resume. And so what is it? There's so many ways for a movie to go wrong.
That's what we were just saying.
Yeah. So how do you make it? So this movie, everything went right.
You just do your best. And
Pray.
sometimes it works out, huh? What's that?
You just hope.
Yeah.
Try harder. You just keep working at it.
Yeah. And
But
you get a
why
bunch of
d-
people doing that at the same time, then you get a pretty good shot at it.
That's right. But in this case, could you explain why everything worked?
The math, it just sounds right, and it is right. Where other people are saying, well, we got the best producing team, we got the best cast, the script is amazing, our locations are there. But there's usually some rotten apples in there, where people don't take their job as seriously as others. Everybody just wanted to serve this piece.
There you go.
And it was in service of the story, in service of these qualities. It wasn't at it. People were really trying to feel with each other, and that's such a rare kind of cooking, social cooking.
Yeah, no, but it's not a standard issue genre movie. You have flawed characters, who are not heroic, particularly. You guys, you and your partner, you're like racist and horrible, but you know that you love him anyway, and that was fun to watch. The language was fun to watch.
I wonder if I imagine I don't know, I imagine that whatever a writer's past is goes into his work, and Taylor Sheridan is an actor. You know, he's in the movie. You know that?
Where?
He's the guy who's driving the cattle across
He was
the
an
road.
actor, yeah.
And so I can, just as my own imagination, I imagine him writing the script and putting himself in each of the characters and feeling how it feels. Because as you say the line, they just seem right. You know, it just seems the way it should be said. You know.
It came from a real place of heart as far as he communicated with us. He said the impetus of this story came from being broke and having a kid. And I think he was talking to his buddy in West Texas, and they were just not knowing what to do. And it was a desolate town, and they started joking, be like, well, I guess we're going to have to rob a bank. And something clicked. And he started working on it. And now he's one of the most in-demand writers, and now soon to be director.
And a very successful bank robber.
Very successful. In fact, that's how we
Because
financed this movie.
I shouldn't have said
Oh, no, it's soon as we'll have a, yeah. So it came from a true place. Not a true story.
Yeah.
So what would have been the most difficult scene to do? The one that gave you nightmares before you shot it? You know, was there ever, you know, the one that was like the key thing that you had to get it right?
I was definitely anxious about working with Jeff. I mean, the experience with Ben was super easy, and again, the quality of the smaller film working with David has just felt very intimate. So I find on bigger sets, I do get way more anxious because, quite frankly, there's so many people watching you that you don't know. There are your executives there, there are money people there, so everything seems so precious. You better nail it, knock it out of the park, or else you're going to be getting notes. There were like 2 producers, maybe 1 on set, David and us, and like Giles. That's pretty awesome. But yeah, Jeff, I mean, Jeff is Jeff, but we'd rehearsed once, and Jeff is exactly as beautiful, wonderful Jeff is. He's just an open, loving, cool dude. And I remember when we rehearsed, that kind of allayed any uprising of, my God, I'm going to be working with Jeff Bridges, because Jeff's not that guy. Jeff's just like a cool dude wanting to jam. So that was the one I was nervous about, but it was quickly allayed.
Do you get nervous anymore, Jeff?
We're just saying, I get nervous all the time. Yeah. And it's doing justice to the the chance that you get to do something. You only got a few cracks at it, and so that it's kind of anxiety provoking. But I notice I have a little bit of what is that called? Narcolepsy.
What?
Yeah, man. Narcolepsy, man. And I notice a little bit of that in myself. When I get anxious, I start start to get sleepy. Do you happen to you at all?
Interesting.
You notice it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Think
yeah,
about
it's-
it.
when you're
Think about this.
unplugging.
Huh? What's that?
It's unplugging.
What do you mean unplugging?
Well, so when the pressure cooks
Oh
up.
yeah, oh.
And you're just body goes like, I'm out.
Yeah. And that's kind of
Maybe that, or just the anxiety that requires so much psychic energy.
Maybe I don't know
Exhausting.
what it is, but I get I'm anxious, and then I notice when it's actually going down. It's like before you sing, you've been performing before you get on stage.
It's
And
petrifying.
you probably the same. I would imagine on Broadway doing streetcar and stuff. Do you get a little anxious before, and then when you're on, you're going?
Yeah,
or what is
it's
that?
all in the guts for me.
Me too.
But do you have that a little bit anxious before?
throw up.
Yeah, man, isn't it wow?
Yeah.
But when it's happening, no problem, and you know
Yeah.
that,
In action.
but still you have the anxiety.